Morning live stream to talk about issues around career, leadership, personal branding, and more. And I'm a little bit late today because I had an issue with the kids. I had to get them, they were late getting to their camp, and so I had to walk them there and take care of their costumes, and it was costume day. So it was crazy. But anyway, I'm here now, and I wanted to share some time with you before I get back on to the rest of my day. And I thought I'd actually take on a topic that is something kind of relevant everyone's talking about right now, which is the new Face app. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's basically this new app that allows you to use artificial intelligence to take any photo you have and make you look younger, make you look older. And the results have been astonishing. They are quite good. Looks very accurate. It does a really good job of adding lines where lines may seem to come. It even enlarges your nose and your ears because as you grow older, they get bigger. It does a really good job, and some of the ones I've seen my friends do, they're like just jaw-dropping in terms of how incredibly interesting they look. So I thought I'd talk about that because I think as a social media guy, as a digital influencer, as someone who's been on social media since the beginning, and I have now over 500,000 followers, I thought I'd talk about this because I think there's a lot of also some hysteria around this in terms of what people are thinking about this app and the concerns. And, for the most part, I want to make sure we talk about that. But before I do that, if you are joining this broadcast, please comment below. Let me know where you're from, where you're coming from, Africa, North America, South America, Europe, India, Asia, Australia, let me know. Number two, tell me your thoughts on the Face app. Have you actually tried the Face app thing? Have you actually posted it? And then also, what are your concerns and questions around social media privacy? And in doing so, let me talk about privacy, because privacy is something that people freak out about. Now, it's important to be, number one, it's always important to be informed and to understand exactly what's going on. That's absolutely key. You can't just say, well, whatever, I'll post or I'll sign up. But for the most part, you have to understand kind of how it works. But the general thing is that you are exchanging your information, whether it's your email or your phone number or the ability to leverage your videos and photos and content, in exchange for the value you get from being able to use things like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Face app, and all these other things that are out there. So there's a value exchange, and there's also a risk versus reward. Are you willing to take the risk or manage the risk in order to get the reward that you get from that kind of stuff? So Gmail, for example, you sign up to get a Gmail account, and you have to give away some personal information. And that's just the way it works. Otherwise, you can't use Gmail. You have to use something else or use your own email. Same with Facebook or LinkedIn. You sign on to Facebook and LinkedIn, and they take some of your information, which they can, you can try to protect yourself with different things when it comes to all the different types of privacy things. But yeah, again, there's an exchange going on there that's important for you to know. And it looks like people are joining in there. Hey, I see Max, I see Keith, I see Jessamine. That's great. Welcome, guys. Hope I said that right, Jessamine. Is it Jessamine or Jessamine? I'm not sure. Anyway. So it's important to understand how social media privacy works. Now, what do you think? Do you think that Face app is good or bad, dangerous? It's crazy. What's going on? I mean, the big thing is like the big complaint is that it's owned by a Russian company, and it says clearly in the thing they own all rights to own your image, and they can use it to promote themselves and all that kind of stuff. Now, here's a secret a lot of people don't know. That's the same conditions on Twitter. It's the same conditions on YouTube. If you post on YouTube, if you post on Twitter, if you post on most social media programs, they reserve the right to use that stuff if they want, right? For advertisement, to say, hey, look, here's the people using Twitter, here's the people using Instagram, here's the people using this kind of stuff. And for the most part, it's becoming a standard thing. But again, it's important to know what's going on there in terms of the rights. Again, I think people really, and I see here, and it just means like, try last night freaked me out, concerned that the young image might drive a want for perfection in vulnerable young adults. That's an interesting point. I think that, I think people are fascinated by their own kind of bodies and how they change and grow and how they look back in the day. Hopefully, it's only being used by, if adults are using it because they can look at what they looked like 10 years ago and what they look like later on. Again, we also have to make sure that people who use it are responsible and are adults as opposed to having kids use it. Well, in terms of, and then of course, let's see, Fateh says, I'm starting to think that people really don't care about their privacy or identity. I've seen a lot of Face app photos recently. I took a look. Do check Facebook app terms or you don't want to miss. Well, my point is that sure you can check it, but what most people don't realize is that if you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, they have very similar conditions. They can use your imagery, use your content however they want. I mean, you still own the fact that, I made this image and I can post on my page, but they can use it for their own advertisement and for their own needs. And that's the fact. And the truth is, Google. If you Google yourself, Google your name, your pictures are everywhere. Anything you post. So a couple lessons here. Number one, it's always good to understand terms of service. Number two, don't freak out because they're similar across the board and most people should know that. Number three, if you are going to post any content, a blog post, what something you wrote, a video, a picture, whatever, you should be comfortable with the fact that it may be out there somewhere, right? And if you're not, then don't post it. It's kind of like back in the old days where they say don't post pictures of you, drink, have a beer bottle in your hand or whatever it might be, right? That kind of stuff. Make sure it's reasonable stuff. Same with kids' photos. I mean, I share pictures of my kids' photos, but there's certain precautions I take that, I certainly want to put photos that would shame my kids. I wouldn't show photos that identify the location where they're at or where their school is, things like that. So there's things I consider when I post those things. And again, this is a very common thing that happens all the time. Keith says it's dangerous. I disagree. I think that I think it's not as dangerous as people are making it out to be. I think there's a lot more hysteria than it is. Tell me why you think it's dangerous, Keith. I want to know why. If it's because, they can use your photo, again, then that means get off LinkedIn, get off YouTube, get off Facebook, get off Instagram, get off Snapchat, get off Twitter. And if you want to do that, by all means, go for it. But even if you send, even if you send photos via email, Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, Gmail, people can, if they wanted to, they could go in there and grab that stuff, or those companies could use that stuff against you. But again, it's a risk versus reward thing that keep people have to understand. And I will say that I did try and this was inspired by people talking about this. And I saw a really good post from my friend Brian Fanzo, who was talking about the fact that people are freaking out and they shouldn't need to freak out. They should just be aware of how it works. And I'll give you another example of how social media privacy freaks people out for no reason. And the best example I can give you is that for those who are old enough like me, you remember pre-internet. Now, when the internet first came on, and you were going on e-commerce and you were trying to sign on for, let's say, buy something or register something, and everyone was so terrified of giving their credit card number online. It was a bit, and they had, they'd throw in the 128-bit encryption to try and make sure people's information was safe. And of course, again, there are things that encryption is, sometimes people break in. Sometimes people break into your bank. Sometimes people break into your house. Sometimes people break into your car. Life happens. But the people are worried about the encryption. Now, here's where it's interesting. People are afraid to give their credit card information online on a legit e-commerce platform site like, let's say, a big company like Microsoft or a big company like Walmart, that type of thing. Yet, before the age of the internet, we used to go to a restaurant, and what would happen is they'd give you the little tray for your credit card, and what you do back in the old days before they had machines, you put your credit card in the tray, and the person would go back to the back of the restaurant for 3 minutes with your credit card and all that information. And like, oh, great meal we had today. I'm really enjoying myself. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, Sally, you look lovely in that outfit. And meanwhile, he comes back with the credit card. Okay, here you go, sign, sir, and give me a tip. And that person has your credit card information for 3 minutes in the back. You have no idea what he did with it. But we didn't care because that's just the way it was, right? And now again, if something happened and someone actually did it, first off, that person would get fired. They'd probably, and the company would get really upset. There'd be fraud, and there'd be insurance to help with that kind of stuff. But people just gave their stuff freely. That's one example. The second example I'll give you is photos. People are terrified of photos. Now, before the internet, people took photos all the time that you didn't know they're taking photos of. So, for example, you're at a barbecue, and there's you and all your friends, and there's all the kids, and all running around, and someone's taking photos, and they're getting photos of other people, they're getting photos of other children, and they have these photos in their camera, and they can do whatever they want with those photos. But were we worried about that? Were we worried about them putting it on some sort of random website and things like that? No, because the people there were, trustworthy, or there's nothing there that's going on that looks really horrible or suspicious, and therefore it's not that big a deal. People don't care. And so it's important to understand, and that's context and perspective, right? So now, again, you take that to the internet stage, whatever you share, whatever photos are there, make sure that things you don't care, that people share or might be shared, or people who want to evilly find the stuff and hack into it in your systems, that 1 in a million shot, that they find stuff not that bad. So yeah, and again, Keith, this video could be used against me. Absolutely. Posting my personal thoughts or opinions could be used against you. Absolutely. So that's why I make sure I don't say anything stupid. And if I do say something stupid, I call it out and don't deny it. I don't deny it like some people do. I don't deflect from it like some people do. I just say, that's what I did, or here's what I said at the time, and I regret that feeling. Like maybe, for example, and there's some good examples where I had certain opinions of leaders and celebrities and things like that, and I thought of them highly or badly, and now my position has changed. But again, I'm true to my word, and again, if you act with integrity, you have nothing to worry about, right? So that's kind of, and that's why I want to make sure it's really clear that people understand exactly how that works. Now, as anyone else that actually tried the Face app and any other concerns or questions around social media privacy, again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Face app controversy, the social media, and talking about social media privacy. I'm here every day at 8:45 a.m. Sharing my live stream, but I'm going to be switching in the next couple of weeks, and I'll make that announcement in terms of what that happens. And if you like what you're seeing, like, comment, heart, light bulb, tag people, let people know that tag people, share this on your page, and let's bring people part of the conversation. So Sai says, every tech that is connected to the internet is vulnerable. The very comments you are commenting here tell us some of the other things about you. Well, yeah, I mean, again, that's true. Again, there's value for me for sharing my platform. But yes, I take the risk that there's going to be people that can take my stuff. And am I worried about someone taking a video of me, and piecing together something horrible? No, but if someone did that, I would just call it out and say, well, here's what happened. Take the whole thing in context. And not worry about the people that are blindly like sheep thinking that I'm saying maybe such evil things. And again, that's where social media privacy is so important. So it's important for us to understand how it works, what the value exchange is, what the risk versus the reward is. Are you comfortable with that? Because if you're not, then get off all social media. Turn off your Gmail, turn off your YouTube, turn off your Instagram, turn off Twitter, turn off LinkedIn, turn off Facebook, and then make sure no one takes pictures at your party. Don't give your credit card to anybody. You have to find that balance in terms of what how it works. So that's really what my message is today. I want to make sure you're clear on the context of how social media privacy in general, but also social media privacy, how it's evolved, and how with the advent of internet technology, with artificial intelligence, with privacy issues, it's important for us to, again, there's a certain faith you have in the systems, but at the same time, you also have to be mindful of, when things may go wrong. So, like, if something goes wrong, let's say, remember there was a big Facebook breach, right? So, again, the breach is what, and are you concerned about that to me is totally valid. That's a very rare occasion where someone, premeditated goes after and hacks in a very sophisticated, advanced technology way to do so. And I think that's a bad situation. At the same time, though, I also trust Facebook to be working their butt off to make sure their security. Same with LinkedIn, to make sure the security is way better than, say, mom and pop store over here, or even my dad's accounting website, because he's not a tech savvy guy, right? So that stuff I think is something to keep in mind, right? And again, so for the Face app, and I remember my brother brought it up because there's the Russian thing. Again, there's a lot of great technology coming from Europe, and I don't want to be, I don't want to dismiss that. I think it's important to look at the company, see what they're doing, see how legitimate they are, what they're using it for. All big startups are like that. I mean, if Snapchat had been started by someone from let's say, a suspicious country, is that going to stop you? Again, they have to go through protocols to make sure things are legit, and eventually people will adopt that platform in a way that has mass appeal. And if they have any sort of security issues, people will not take it on. Facebook would not have grown, and LinkedIn would not have grown if they didn't have the proper safety protocols in place. In fact, I remember when I first joined Facebook, I was really amazed with how much safety features they had, right? And you can have safety features, privacy matters, like no one can find you unless you find them. You can have it the way you want it, right? I mean, I prefer for my social media interactions for people to be able to find me. And the other thing that happens is, people say, well, Bobby, all your information's up there, like, your address is there. That's true. My address is on my website, but that's because I work from my home. It's a home business. Hey, David. Hey, Jamie. Sure. And my email is public. My email public on my website, and people are like, why would you do that? You have 500,000 followers. People are going to email you all the time. And the truth is, most people don't. Most people don't email me. Sure, I get a few here and there, but nothing crazy. So, you have to understand that it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. At the same time, you also have to take those precautions and understand kind of how it works. But I wanted to share those stories of the credit card and the other story that was the credit card and the photo taking thing. That's important to understand kind of how privacy works before the internet, how it works now, and how you need to find the right balance to make sure that you're doing things in the right way. Now, if people have questions, let's ask questions about this and talk about this. I'm happy to answer some things here. Let's see here if the people have any questions. Hi from India. Tried last night, freaked me out. Well, okay. So I'll admit I did try the Face app. Again, I wasn't concerned. I checked out the terms and conditions, and then I checked the terms and conditions to confer on YouTube and Twitter, and they're almost identical. So based on that, I was like, okay, fine, I'm not worried. I mean, if I have 500,000 followers or I have 400,000 followers on Twitter and they're all seeing my stuff, I'm okay with the Face app thing. I didn't post it yet, but I wanted to make sure I had the discussion first before I share those photos. But I checked it out, and I can tell you that it was amazing how much I looked like my dad. My dad's 75, and I was like, wow, like I look just like my father. I couldn't get over it. It was uncanny. Because right now I don't feel like I look like my dad. But when I was like, whoa, this is my dad. It was kind of crazy. So that was kind of cool. Let's see here. Let's see. Any other questions here? How do you become relevant, let's say, if you don't use social media? But that comes to the risk. And that's why digital education. Yeah, agreed, Sai. So, I mean, social media is definitely a way to become far more relevant, to build a bigger thought leadership personal brand. Absolutely. And those who don't and are willing to take the risk versus the reward are losing out in many, many ways. Again, you can still, there's still many people out there that maybe don't need social media, like some doctors, some teachers. Like doctors in particular have a very specific niche. They don't need to build a community on social media because they have their customers and clients for the rest of patients, the rest of their life, and they'll have their own community. That's fine. But digital education, I think, is very compulsory for anyone. So there's digital education for my kids, which I get them involved in. There's digital education for adults, and even I do social media boot camps for CEOs and executives because they, when I did that, I do a full day boot camp, and I can tell you the first two hours of the full day camp is just about fear. It's completely about fear and diving into the fears and the rational and the irrational and understand how security works, and because they want to know how it works and they're terrified of everything. And what if they take my image and put it on some, porn site or something? It's like, okay, why would they do that? And what are you posting that they would do that with? And so, again, these are things that people get worried about, but it's important for you to understand where these fears are rooted. So I think that's a key piece for this talk. So, yeah, so that's the main thing I want to talk about today in terms of the Face app controversy. If you have any other questions or if you want to learn more, check out my links, check out my company page. If you want to have any more help from me in terms of career development, leadership coaching, personal branding, public speaking for your event, just message me, DM me. I'm happy to help, and I'll be here daily, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for my daily live broadcast. And in the future, I'll be shifting it. I'll be doing... I plan to be doing 12 noon broadcasts, so from Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and every Wednesday I'll have my Wisdom Wednesday broadcast at 8:45 a.m. so I can get my Australian friends to join in. And tomorrow I'm actually doing a 12 noon one with I'm going to attempt to do a 12 noon one with a Wisdom Wednesday interview with Dave Bazanko. So I'm excited about that. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Ask your questions, comment below, and let me know what you think. Thanks. And I'll leave it on because, again, right now it's getting cut off. So I want to make sure it stays on and it doesn't get cut off because it gets cut off for like 15, 20 seconds.